Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Get Printing. I'm your host, Zach Dewhurst, the Business Development Manager at DecoNetwork. With us this week is Brandon Mills from Total Promotion Company. Brandon has been always really big on wanting to do more with his order data when it comes to marketing and growing his relationship with his customers. So what did Brandon do? Brandon built some API code with a developer so that he could get his order data out of DecoNetwork and into a CRM platform so he could be more strategic with his marketing. This, among other really cool applications, can be accomplished when you build on top of DecoNetwork using the API. And that's what today's episode is all about. What you can do with API code and how you can, again, learn more from your order history, generate your own custom reports, and just a lot of other things that you can customize. You just have to be on the enterprise plan and work with the developer or join the DecoNetwork communities and crowdsource the development, which we're really excited to also talk about. But before we dive into today's episode, let's talk about the one and only DecoNetwork, our sponsor, the all-in-one shop management system that allows you to have both a front-end website for your customers to request quotes and place orders, the ability to provide stores to your clientele, whether they need a fundraise, an ordering portal, or just want to sell stuff. And then third, a shop management system where everything flows into, where we can keep our production staff organized, we can create quotes, store all of our customers' information, everything you need to manage your shop. If you have any questions when it comes to using DecoNetwork, simply visit DecoNetwork.com, do a demo, and you'll see for yourself why you should be using the one and only game-changing software, DecoNetwork. With that said, how's it going, Brandon?
It's going good, man. How's it going, Zach?
Good. You know, when I lose all my hair, I'm going to rock the beard like you because my wife she hates it when I cut this. She wants it like yours, just so you realize, Brandon.
Yeah, my wife won't let me cut it. In fact, I did a beard trim the other day from a professional, and she was really nervous, but it turned out okay.
Hey, whatever the wife wants, right?
That's right.
Brandon, we've done a couple different podcasts. We've made some videos. We've done some walkthroughs. I think combined, you and I making a video together is probably over 40,000 views. I think it's the beard again. I think it is. But Brandon, you're a part of the DecoNetwork community. We met several years ago. You signed up for the software, and like a lot of users, you quickly realized this is powerful stuff. If I want to get the most out of it and get it up and running quickly, I should work with an expert. And that's how our relationship began and has evolved over the years. And one thing I've quickly realized about you is you're not shy. You are what we call a shaker and a mover, a doer. And one thing that you had brought up several years ago was, I want to do stuff with my data. And at the time, and I have a marketing degree, I really wasn't fathoming what exactly does Brandon want to do. And then you and I were both at the Shirt Lab Summit earlier in 2024 at Austin. It was a really great event, and we heard a lot about these automations, ways to essentially remove the human and get things to automatically happen. Or look at the data and start learning from it, generating custom reports and just making decisions based on numbers, not just our gut or our heart. We're using our brain. And it's just kind of been a fun conversation, roller coaster a little bit with you, Brandon, because there were times where it's like, I need this, and then you realized actually it was already there the whole time. I just needed somebody to dig. And I'm just real excited because I think you kicked off a movement, Brandon. You were really passionate about this. You were loud about it, and you've got everybody's attention in the DecoNetwork community. And I think there's huge potential with using API, developing automations, and kind of following what you've started, Brandon. So why don't you kind of give us a little bit of your background and story? You know, I kind of gave a little bit of a summary, but how did this all start, and what Why did you become such a pain in the butt sometimes
Yeah,
until you got what you want? Again, that's what it takes to get things done.
yeah.
You gotta ruffle some feathers.
Well, I mean, I was on kind of a data journey from the beginning. I acquired my business over 5 years ago, and the people that were running it prior did everything on QuickBooks Desktop, and everything from invoicing to everything they had, and it was just a mess, and their whole system was a mess. So I started the shopping around for shop management software. I landed on Price It for a while, which had a whole lot of limitations, but it made me realize that this is definitely the right direction. Being able to automate as much as we possibly can and have a whole lot of structure set up to where we can send out quotes quickly and try to manage what's going on. It just wasn't quite doing it for me though. There was still a lot of limitations with it. So when I came across DecoNetwork, that's when I was like, okay, well, I want to go from 0 to 100, as fast as possible. And that's when I hired you, Zach. I was like, all right, I got to get all this set up and going really fast because I don't have time to spend months and months and months on this while we're trying to also sell apparel and promo products and everything else. So yeah, you got the ball rolling for us on our website, got us set up, and then from there over time I started to learn DecoNetwork and the layers that it had, and the more I dug, the more I realized it could do. But then fast forward another year or so, and I feel like I had become that power user in DecoNetwork and started to recognize its limitations. One being that there's a lot of companies are using automations based off of data to be able to do direct marketing campaigns, to be able to read what their data is and what it's telling you. And Deco is just so limited. I went through and I saw there was a Zoho connection, and I thought, oh great, they do have at least a CRM connection. Went ahead and tried it. I tried the MailChimp connection, but it was very limited on what the data would pull over. Basically, all it would give you was contact information. There wasn't, couldn't pull over order information. What was coming through each through the pipeline there. I mean, on the backside of DecoNetwork, all the data is there. You could see it, but you couldn't do anything with it. And so at that point, I was like, okay, we got to figure out a way to get this data pulled out so that I can then use that in what I'm trying to do. And that's where I started to get very frustrated with DecoNetwork. I was starting to get loud, and I was like, hey, you guys, we need this. We need this feature. We need to be able to take the data that you have, but it's being held captive within that system. And it took a while to. I mean, that's when you probably remember when I was just kind of barking up that tree and trying to get some things to happen.
Zapier. And
Zapier,
again,
yeah,
Zapier, yeah, okay, and we need to dive into that, Brandon,
sure.
because that has been the solution for a lot of DecoNetwork's competitors, and it took me forever. I'm actually not a tech guy. I love one piece of software, and I've used it forever, and that's what I'm good at. But in
Well, I was
general,
this close.
I'm
Yeah,
stupid about everything else.
I was this close to leaving DecoNetwork and moving over to Printavo because they had a Zapier connection. But it's when I looked under the hood of Printavo and saw that it was very limited in what it did in shop management, and I saw that DecoNetwork was a better platform for managing a shop. But I wanted to be able to utilize that data, and the only thing I really knew of about API connections and for creating that bridge to pull data out was Zapier at the time.
Yep.
But then as I started to learn more, Zapier is very expensive. So every time you try to do an action, you have to pay for that action. And when you're doing actions at scale, the price can move up very quickly on you.
So Brandon, let's just back up for a second. Okay.
Sure.
So Brandon wanted to do things with his data. He wanted to create automations. And what essentially, DecoNetwork's not open source software, but there is API. And using API and developing code and so forth, you can build on top of DecoNetwork. This is common with a lot of software platforms. And some things can also kind of communicate back and forth. So for example, DecoNetwork has a QuickBooks integration. You can essentially push your data from Deco to QuickBooks. There's a ShipStation integration. You can push your orders to ShipStation to make shipping them easier. And when it comes to doing a lot of other things, Zapier has been the solution for a lot of platforms. Zapier is a bridge. It's the API. So think of it this way. We have DecoNetwork here. We have QuickBooks or ShipStation or any of these platforms. We have to build an API integration or a bridge. And Zapier has been kind of the solution for a lot of, software. They're that bridge. But the difference is there's a big toll to use that bridge. And you need to use that bridge more than you even realize. And that toll gets so expensive, you start to realize why DecoNetwork didn't build necessarily a Zapier integration. The API has always been available for you to build a bridge. The problem is a lot of us shop owners just never thought about building bridges before. This is not where we came from. And again, Zapier can get real expensive. It's not a bad solution. What we've seen at DecoNetwork is our competition likes to pass off, instead of developing things that should be native in the software, they just, we'll let them use Zapier and some other third-party thing. With DecoNetwork, the guts and the strength is within the software. It's the little things that you may want to do that the average shop doesn't. Or just, again, there's specific things. There's only so much time in the day that DecoNetwork can develop things. So Brandon really wanted to connect to a CRM. And Brandon, you were shaking us for a couple of years. I want a Zapier integration. I would tell you, I have no idea what the heck API is. I'm stupid about it. But I've been told that the API is there and you could do everything.
I was so glad when we went to Austin for that Shirt Lab summit, and the focus being on automations. Because I saw the light bulb go on in your head. I saw that you started to realize and recognize what I had been pushing for and the importance of it, especially when it had been successfully implemented in other shops that have been doing it through other software. And that's when you recognize that, oh yes, DecoNetwork, if they don't do this, or if this is not, a possibility for them, that Deco will lose the shop management software race to their competitors. But it was also at this time where I was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. And I was talking to, I don't know how many different software developers I talked to, and every software developer will claim that they can figure it out and they can do it. And
just like a social media, just like a marketer, those online, I'll get you first page Google. I promise.
So I talked to a few. They went in, they couldn't figure it out. They just said it's not possible. So these are all people that do software integrations all the time. They build bridges, but they went into DecoNetwork. I gave them admin access on the back end, and they would go through and they could not figure it out. So ultimately, I ran into somebody. So I got referred to Josh Stacy, and he was like, okay, I can do it, and there's a million ways to do it. We initially were going to set up a data scraping where it would pull up the data, and it would just take the data from that page to be able to do it. And so he had kind of pawned me off onto one of his employees to start this out, and then through that process, they started to learn a little bit more about DecoNetwork, and the further they got into it, and the problems that I'm trying to solve were problems for almost every shop, and they thought, okay, well, let's do this. Let's do a deep dive into DecoNetwork and see if we can build this out for all of the people. And because the amount of software development that has gone into what we've been working on, I was not going to be able to afford as a shop owner. So unless we made, if I just made a custom solution for my own shop. So with what he had suggested is like, well, let's sell this to everybody, and then that way he's putting in sweat equity to build this up front so that we can pull data, and basically he's built a bridge to be able to pull any information from Deco that we could possibly want to be used in any platform anywhere else. So basically it makes what I've been trying to do no longer a problem. So right now we've solved that issue. We're taking data, we're pulling data. Another thing with the quote chasing, which is not an easy API. The API in Deco is not easy. You need a developer, and you need a developer that is familiar with the platform. So and anybody that's familiar with DecoNetwork, it's typically not a developer themselves. So if they were, they wouldn't be selling shirts. They'd be selling software. And so what we've been able to do now is take every piece of information, all order information, all product information, everything associated with an order, with a customer, pull it out so that right now I have a marketing team building sequences so that when, an order is completed, we have follow-ups, that are direct marketing messages based on the ordered data to say, hey, 2 weeks ago you ordered, 15 of these, next level shirts. Hey, first of all, how's it going? How's the product? Do you like it? Hey, can you write us a review? Do you have any referrals? Also, if you like those next level shirts, we've got these tri-blends now that you might like for your next order. And to try to upsell automatically at scale based on the order data that we've been able to pull. So direct marketing is so much better than blanket marketing, where we're just sending out a generic email to our entire customer base, hoping to get a couple bites. We want to be able to have very, very intentional messaging to the client based on what they have, what they've ordered, but then not just that, to be able to quote chase. As soon as we hit send on a quote, within 5 minutes, I want a text message to go to their phone and say, hey, we just sent you a quote. Oh, here's also a link. You can look at it on your phone. You can look it over and approve it right now. If they don't do that, 2 days goes by. Hey, just a reminder. Yep. Is there anything that needs to be changed in there? What's the holdup? What's going on? Why are we not moving forward with this? So that we can try to convert quotes at scale as well. Because the lift on my employees to do this follow up, to do all these things on for each one of the quotes becomes very time consuming, becomes very expensive in labor, because I've got to pay my staff to do these things, takes them away from doing other things that they should be doing, and now it's just becomes a giant drain on my company. So I want to build the robot, which we're in the process of doing these automations right now. We've selected Zoho, at least for the time being, just because the marketing team that I'm using is very familiar with it, and they know how to do all these automations that we're wanting to do. The the software developer is also friends. We're all in Las Vegas. And there's a group here called Tech Alley, and it's where all the nerds gather. And I love nerds. I'm somewhat of a nerd myself. I guess I'd consider myself to be a printer nerd. But finding the software nerd, the marketing nerd, the printer nerd, getting all the nerds together to build the machine to be able to turn this into a revenue generating business that is a lot of hands off, saves a lot of time, saves a lot of money, to where I don't have to go out to try to business develop, because now that's part of our marketing, and just funneling people in. So not only just top of funnel, but having automations from bottom of funnel to try to get them back in to create reorders, and just increase our overall revenue. Reorders and selling to your current clients are a whole lot easier than prospecting new clients.
Oh, yeah.
They're already familiar with your
Yep.
product. They're familiar with your system. They know what it is, and they like it, and they want to reorder. They want more things, and we want to provide it, and making it easier for them, giving them reminders, asking for referrals, getting reviews, all these things, and being able to automate that is I'm super stoked for the direction that we're going with not only my business but the industry. And I've always felt that our industry is a little behind the curve compared to other industries that have already have these kind of automations in place.
When I think the word of 2024 in our industry is automations. I mean, it seemed like everything. I'm seeing equipment automations, DTF automations.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm pushing for some things in Deco because we see a lot of like designs being printed with the barcode. We're going to scan a barcode, right? Cut it, scan it, apply it. One thing I want you to admit, Brandon, everything you wanted to do was always possible. You just had to know how to find the gold.
Well,
which is
everything's
really hard,
always
and
possible.
it's not.
But it's a matter of do you want to spend $50,000 to make
Yep.
a custom solution? So everything is possible. Everything is always possible, and it's just a matter of finding the right people with the right know-how to build that out. So just because it was possible doesn't mean it was feasible.
Well, how many developers did you roughly go to before you found Josh that could
Probably
deliver?
probably about 4.
4. Wow. And you went, the first 3 were essentially no good.
Yeah, they thought they could do it, but Deco was very, very limiting. It in the APIs, it's hidden where you can find
Yeah.
that data. It's very hidden, and you have to get very
It
creative with
it could
with
definitely, from what I've been told, it could be better. I know that think it's been enhanced and so forth. I honestly API that sorry to get distracted, but API again, that's what I could never put my head around.
right.
API. It's abbreviated for something, right? It's an
Like for
acronym.
instance, and there's
What the-
limitations. There's a lot of limitations to Deco's API as well. So being able to pull the data out and then be able to
and
move it into a
th-
bridge.
yeah, to make
Yeah.
it more friendly. Well,
Like right now, for the quote chasing, we're having to develop it outside of API. I'm using the blind carbon copy email script to send emails. Every single time we send a quote now, a blind carbon copy goes to a select email that then organizes what that quote is, what the order number is, and then it checks it based upon the order data that we pulled out the other way, so that if a quote does become approved, it stops that sequence of chasing the quote. We don't want to chase a quote that's already been approved. So it's thinking about this in a very logical sense of like, if this, then this, if and or nor.
if and or, yep.
Yeah, so using Boolean algebra to come up with the formula.
Well, so we were at the automations, and again, when I think API now, I think bridges between platforms, and I think automations. Those are what I think, and what I have seen with your vision that you've shared with all of us is, I want to build. DecoNetwork is great at managing my production and having web stores and a front end website, but a business goes beyond a website, just production. We have a marketing department, we have a finance department, we have all these other things, and you kind of wanted to build on top of Deco a centralized place where you could
Yes.
better communicate with your customers, build additional tools to limit repetition stuff and automation. So we were both at the Shirt Lab Summit, and first thing I took away, quoting is probably the thing that DecoNetwork kicks everybody's butt at because of just the integrations, the automation. When you drop artwork on, if you were a screen printer, it would count how many colors. That was an automation, for example. It sped up the process that instead of you saying how many colors, or looks at the size of the design. That's an automation. But where DecoNetwork stops is how much communication is DecoNetwork going to do with the order. And you can continuously email the order from DecoNetwork manually. But like you said, text though is way better than email these days. And I want to simultaneously send both. And I want to be able to customize the strategy. Hey, 2 hours later, maybe if they're saying I need this tomorrow, I need approval quickly. And you can just really do a lot more if you don't just lean on the software to get to developing this someday. If you can get the data out like you wanted, Brandon, you can then build your additional tools on top of it.
My vision for the whole thing is an entire shop like overview dashboard that has the marketing side. The reporting side is going to be another big thing that I'm going to be pushing for. I want to get the marketing thing done first. But the reporting. So understanding what our profitability is per job, being able to plug in how much how many hours did it take to complete this? What was the cost of the materials? And then what was the sale price? All in that order so that we know what our profitability was per order, per item. These are things that I wanted to be able to know so that we can make decisions based on that data of, okay, this is our most profitable product here. Let's market this product that is going to give us the most amount of return so that we can then grow our business faster. The reporting in DecoNetwork is very limited. I'm glad it has some, and I rely heavily on that sum that is provided, but it is very, very limited. And my goal is to build out an entire structure that a shop can take and know what is going on, so that decisions can be made, so that the marketing that we're doing is relative to what is going on with our numbers.
Well, you're getting the data out, and you want to do all of these things. You have a big, ambitious vision. The problem is, ideas are cheap and easy. Mm-hmm. Execution is expensive and difficult and takes time. You started respecting, I think, even more how difficult some things were, and then the repercussions of doing something small. So with like Deco, it's so many layers and it's so powerful that if we just try to add this little thing or change this logic, holy crap, it can have some repercussions and so forth.
Yeah, being able to build this outside of DecoNetwork is ideal. And so like right now, we're live on the data migration. People can go to printshopconnect.com, sign up, and we can pull all that data out and plug it into any program they want, and they can start building their own platform, because each shop is unique. Each shop is going to have different requirements, different kinds of customers. They're going to offer different kinds of decoration methods, and so with that, you want to try to build it out for your shop. There's going to be a lot of generic overlap. Each shop is going to want to know what their data is, what their profitability is. They're all going to want to have quote chasing and order follow up and all these things. But then when it comes to like what I'm doing, like with promotional products, the DecoNetwork is not great at promotional products. It's great at apparel. There's not a whole lot that's available, at least right now, in Deco to be able to sell those kind of things. We use the freeform tool all the time in the quotes. We have to type it out because it's not automatically built into Deco, which is something that we want to figure out as well, to expand the catalog offering in Deco so that we can throw up a water bottle and be able to have that available, and have minimum quantities. But it all has to be built, and right now,
well, it's technically all possible, very much so. You could do a CSV upload, for example, but that's how DecoNetwork does it. It's a lot of work. So what I think, again, what I wanted to really get at this point, Brandon, is you have not only gotten kind of like the Deco team to be, look what they're doing as far as building on top of the platform, because like you said, there's a lot of uniqueness, and to expect Deco to be able to build every solution for every unique situation is just not feasible. But there is such a big DecoNetwork community that if we all want this and we all need it, we can, as a group, crowd fund it.
Yeah.
That's what I think we've missed for a while. Is yes, this is expensive because I could tell you, Brandon, there's a lot of very successful DecoNetwork users that have been using the API for years, and they've had no problem because they were willing to make the $5,000 to $10,000 investments sometimes
Yeah.
because they're doing millions of dollars through the platform
Well,
annually.
the amount of
But
investment that
yeah,
I've put into it already, I would love to recoup some of that cost. I mean, that's for me. My goal is just to have a functioning and usable data, but I want to be able to recoup the cost that I've put into it. I've put thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into building this out, and whereas for somebody that's signing into it, $200 a month, where I've done all the lifting on it already. That $200 a month is going to my developer and to me. I'm going to get a 10% cut on it so that I can try to recoup what these costs were. Same with Josh. He's got to be able to recoup his time, and so this is definitely a very inexpensive, especially when you compare it to the cost of Zapier. If we were to have a Zapier connection, I would be looking at $800,000 a month just to be able to move data. And whereas this is being able to move all the data at no additional cost per sequence, and you get it, you can use it, and you can use the money that you save to build out the automations that you're wanting to do for your own job.
yeah. So it comes to the automations. We talked about one. Ask the customer for review after purchase. When we're quoting them, when we're doing artwork approval, really want to be able to automatically chase them for these approvals because they can hold up production or the quote becoming an order, obviously. So makes complete sense. But then outside of these automations, again, it's the marketing and reporting side.
Mm-hmm.
So using, again, our brain, not our gut or our heart, of what we should be marketing, how we should be doing it, and so forth. So when you look at your orders, we can figure out, like you said, our best-selling products. Deco does that, but it just says this is your best selling. It doesn't tell you, hey, this is your profit margin and blah blah blah, and just like really dissects it, like a lot of bigger systems can that have been built and had a lot of money put into them. But we can really start taking this data, creating our own special reports. And Brandon, I also think because of the bridge you built, I think we're going to start seeing AI help, take that bridge now to the next level. You got us from point A to point B to C to D to E to F. I think it's easier and easier because that was the hard part, right?
Well, I'm excited to see what other shops come up with automations using the data, because especially if it becomes a collaborative, endeavor where hey, this shop over here figured out this piece, we can plug it into this. This shop over here figured out this piece, we can plug it into this, and really kind of have it as an open source, so that we can grow as an industry in the DecoNetwork ecosystem.
Well, like you said, I forget what you really called yourself, like a super member or something, but there, let's be honest, in our industry, there's a lot of shops that are different sizes that have different concerns and goals at the moment. And we have a lot of users who do big numbers. Then we have a lot of mom and pop shops that are, still getting their feet wet and so forth. But what I think you've really solved is that middle class user. And you've brought the upper class features to the middle class at a very reasonable price. But again, the collaboration, it's the speed at which we can kind of develop things and direct it. And it's just, sometimes you have too many cooks in the kitchen. That's not good.
Right.
Sometimes you've got that one person, with reason, or just that one opinion is like, man, he's making a good point. And in the Facebook group, we've seen some really great feedback when you shared someone and then shared some things. And then we had a couple other freelance developers. Mm-hmm. Somebody was like, I want it to be easier for my customer to be able to track their order without having to go in their account profile and look at this. I just wanted to put in the number and just reveal some information. It was beautiful, but I could tell you kind of kicked off this evolution a little bit of sharing some of these things, and your ambition to just take your business to the next level. Because again, the marketing, the amount of money, I wish we could get some numbers. You're going to have to, share some numbers in the future with us. But I can only imagine how much money we leave on the table every year. It's like, I think of using your brain. They always say you use 10% of your brain. What if you could tap more of it? Like I think with the marketing, it is something you can easily tap a heck of a lot more. And it's not overselling. It's not pressure selling. It's literally presenting to your customer, hey, if you like this, you probably also would like this. Hey, you typically buy this every year. Buy it this time. We can do more. I really like too. You and Josh have a pulling the lever. Pulling the lever is awesome.
So I want to be able to pull a lever. So if our DTF printers are constantly running, but our embroidery machine is sitting quiet, we want to pull the marketing embroidery lever to blast out embroidery marketing so that we can get that machine going again. If our promo product distribution, if people aren't wanting promo products, we want to be able to market to that. So that way, because I want my bottleneck to be our machines, needing more machines and more staff. I don't want my bottleneck to be the software that's holding us back.
DecoNetwork wasn't holding me back.
No. DecoNetwork allowed us to scale to a certain point. In fact, we scaled incredibly so in a few years' time, until I got to a point to where like, okay, now DecoNetwork's holding me back now, and what's holding me back? Okay, I need to be able to do these things. How do I get across that? And that's been the biggest hurdle, is getting this solution figured out. Now that we've crossed that hurdle, now my next endeavor is building out that machine,
I mean, and the way you've done it wasn't easy, but you've opened the door to so much potential and say. But yeah, I mean, the marketing and everything else, you think about how much time you end up saving, and again, the ROI. I think of even running a Facebook ad, Google ads especially. You and I could run an ad very easily. We can run it. But it actually, you want to pay somebody to help you put it together, because your ROI is going to be more. Yeah, they're not cheap, but they're going to get you a much higher ROI. You could have figured out DecoNetwork on your own. You paid me to get you there a lot quicker, help you avoid mistakes, and get the most out of it. But the DecoNetwork community seems very motivated, though, to build on top of these concepts. So, Brandon, where are you getting your best ideas from as far as these automations? Like, again, the quote chasing, the artwork approval, all that. Like, and when feasibly can we start, seeing a lot of these options? I know we can get data from point A, Deco, to a CRM. So a Zoho, a HubSpot, a Salesforce, really any of those customer relationship management systems. That's what a CRM is, customer relationship management.
So right now, my big push is to get this operational to where I have this marketing in place. And then Josh and I are looking to build out those automations directly into its own print shop software. And so that you don't have to go to a CRM. You can go directly to Print Shop Connect, and it's going to have these. That's going to take time to develop. So my big push is to get something up and operational through a CRM first, and then we can focus on, okay, what works well for my shop, what works well for every shop, and let's build that out on the back end of our own software, to where now it's a standalone software outside of a CRM that plays the part of a CRM that print shops need. Like print shops don't need every feature in HubSpot.
No, it's like a design tool. Design tools are overrated because 95% of the buttons and things are distractions.
If we had a software, if we had a Photoshop type software that only had the tools that we need to produce, it would be a whole lot less. It would be a whole lot more functional. to be able to do that kind of art stuff, and the learning curve would be a lot less. So the ultimate plan, the ultimate goal is to build out a print shop software that can take data from print shop management companies, which is DecoNetwork, Printavo, all these different ones, because we want to be able to plug them in from all places. I mean, the data is the data, regardless of where it's coming from. For me, it's DecoNetwork, because DecoNetwork has the best shop management tool when it comes to production, and it comes to quotes, and it comes to all these things. And so I feel like that is the first drive in building this out. But then, so that'll be the machine that connects it to what will be ultimately our print shop machine that has the marketing and has the data, has all the dashboards, and be able to connect all of it into one, so that when I pull up, I want to pull up that in the morning and not DecoNetwork in the morning to see what's going on.
Is that essentially an ERP system? Is that kind of what that would technically be?
I apologize. There's a guy with a big blower right outside my window right now. I don't know if that's coming through on the audio.
It's a little bit.
Yeah. So and then building. I'm not too familiar with all the different. Yeah.
But it's kind of funny is it's like DecoNetwork calls it Business Hub, but really what it is, it's Production Hub, and you kind of built the Business Hub, because you're looking at every department, you're looking beyond front end production, front end website, back end management. There's just a lot more to it, and again, it's so customizable that you kind of need something a little bit more open source that you can finagle, mold, and so forth.
There's all these different software solutions that solve a problem or a handful of problems for a shop. So like we just implemented a new email system in our company called Front, and it's fantastic. It's all about being able to track, and I've set up automations where if a customer hasn't been replied to in 3 hours, I get an alert so I can find out why. Yeah. So it's being able to manage each piece of the business, and I want to figure out how to build that out into one platform, and then sell the platform and it'll allow companies like ours to be able to thrive. So that's the goal. It's a lot to do, because it takes a whole lot of intention and a whole lot of logical thinking of taking piece A, plugging it into piece B, so that solution C comes out the same way every time, but then especially in our industry, there's so many variables. Each customer has a different request. You have all the different kinds of apparel, you have all the different kinds of decoration processes, you have all these different things, and trying to understand it and bring it all into one thing so that you have a repeatable action is ultimately the goal. But it's sifting through and making sense of all the data, and so that it can be usable.
To recap the conversation, when we can look at our order data, we can be strategic about running marketing campaigns and just helping the relationship between us shops and our customers reach the full potential. Nobody means to leave money on the table, but pretty much every shop does if they aren't strategically looking at their order data and running strategic, again, campaigns and communicating better with their customer to make sure we're satisfying all their needs and we're selling them everything we possibly can. If you have any questions about this or anything else that we've ever talked about on a podcast, visit DecoNetwork.com, submit a question through our live chat, and we'd be happy to answer it. Thank you.